Yo, my name's Kaizër. I'm an artist, rapper, and this is a PSYCHii interview.
Well, it's definitely nice to meet you. I've been listening to all of your music that you have out on Spotify and everything. But before we get into that, are you from this area? Did you move here recently, or have you been growing up here your whole life in Charleston?
For the most part, yeah. I lived in Charleston legitimately my whole life, but I was born in New York, and then I moved down here before I was 1.
Okay, so you don't really remember New York then?
At all.
Nothing from up there. So Charleston, like downtown Charleston, or in the kind of like Goose Creek area, around the area? That's where I'm from.
It kind of like moved around a lot. Like I was, like generally speaking, I lived on Johns Island, and then there was a point where like whenever I'd be with my mother, because I stayed with my grandparents a lot, I'd end up like in West Ashley, in North Charleston. I think the only place I never was in was like downtown.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. Okay. So what was life like growing up here then, since you've been here since 1?
I didn't have any friends.
No friends?
Yeah, not really. I just had my imagination and toys.
Yeah, word. I love that shit, dude. So you making up the stories and stuff when you're playing with them?
Legitimately, yeah.
That's what me and my cousin used to do too. So are you into storytelling, obviously?
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
It was, I'm trying to think. If it wasn't like me obviously making up characters or having an imaginary friend, I would, random fact, there would be like letters on my fucking refrigerator, and we weren't broke, we had toys, but like I just like imagined the letters were action figures.
Yeah. So you're obviously a super creative person then, up there in the noggin.
To some extent.
What kind of toys did you gravitate to? Were you a superhero person, or like what kind of stories were you telling in your head when you're playing?
Oh yeah, I'm just like, I'm a shonen main character.
Shonen, yeah. I feel that. So what's your favorite story then? Especially growing up, like what's one that really latched onto your soul?
I couldn't think of one like right off of the back, like generally speaking, but I would just say like Power Rangers, if anything.
Power Rangers?
Yeah,
that's the whole reason I got into karate.
Really?
Yeah, I thought I wanted to be, I wanted to get the red belt.
No.
I didn't even want the black belt, I just wanted to be the Red Ranger. What got you into music then? So you were a creative kid growing up, playing with toys, always using your imagination. What was the first kind of step into just listening to music and taking in that art form and stuff?
Realistically speaking, I wasn't listening to rap music like that growing up at all. I used to write a lot of poetry whenever I was sad. It's like, oh, this girl doesn't like me, or oh, I feel like I'm fat, or oh, like my existence doesn't matter. So I'd just be mad existential, like as a middle schooler. But then in high school, I think it was like 12th grade, my teacher ended up showing me, I always remember, he showed me Wu-Tang for the first time, and the song that made me want to rap in an obsessive nature was Elevators by Outkast. Like just hearing it, it was weird. Andre's last verse, like, it always does something to me in my brain. Like, it just like makes me feel really sensitive. And then it like made me gravitate to like, just wanting to make music and like wanting to like help people.
Yeah. So when you were writing your poems and things, whenever you were just getting down on yourself, what made you gravitate to that? Was that something that was introduced to you, or did you just kind of pick up a pen and paper when you were feeling some type of way one day, or how'd that kind of come about? Because not a lot of people feel comfortable, writing about their feelings and doing that kind of stuff. So how'd that come about for you?
No, most definitely. I would say it would probably be just school. Like it ended up teaching me about poetry as a whole, but outside of it, I blame my mother. Whenever I was bad, she would make me just study literature.
Really?
Yeah, literally.
Heck of a punishment. What kind of literature are you studying when you're in trouble?
I'm reading random words, defining them, putting them in a sentence, and then writing that sentence a multitude of times.
So she was structuring your brain for rap. It seems like she knew the whole time what she was doing when she was raising you.
No, for sure.
So 12th grade, you get introduced into Wu-Tang. You had been dabbling already with poems and kind of poetry up until that point.
Definitely.
And then you felt something in Andre 3K's voice, and he wanted you, or made you want to turn it into a song, an actual song, and make that happen. How did you go from there? What was your first step? Was it typing on YouTube, looking for the YouTube beat? Did you have a friend that already made beats, or how did you start that path?
Oh yeah, that was, it was just going on YouTube and finding random beats, rapping to other rappers' songs, like that whole beginning phase of like making music was really weird, but also really cool to me. Like I had a best friend I have a best friend who he started rapping with me at first. We like made a group at one point called Co-op, where
Nice. I love that.
it's like
Playing too much Halo together.
And like we just was just listening to a bunch of like 90s golden era rap music, like
Yeah, name some names. So you had Wu-Tang. Who else? Like Rakim and stuff?
Well, no. What's funny is you said Rakim.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry. For some reason, that makes no sense. But when you said Rakim, I imagine KRS-One's face. And that, like, there are
also another
parallels.
legend, of course.
I did not listen to KRS-One like that yet, but yeah, I listened to like Paid in Full. I listened to the Black Star album. I listened to Miseducation of Lauryn Hill.
Yeah.
I listened to what the fuck. I love fucking Nas. Like I obsess over New York State of Mind Part 2. Like I could literally rap every single line to it right now. Niggas would be so upset with me all the time. Also, this is not golden era, but like I love MF Doom. Like that used to just exist in my car.
I feel that. Nas is crazy still. It's crazy how long he's been keeping going and keep dropping like amazing songs. That's definitely a good person to look up to. 90s artists were a huge inspiration for you early on. Is that continuing? Like today, is that who you listen to when you're going to chill and vibe with some music, or is there newer artists? No, okay,
absolutely not. But still, like a very, very dear place in my heart for them at all times.
So, what new artists you into then?
For the most part, just like, you know what? ESTG.
Say it again.
ESTG.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, nice. Is there what's that process like when you go to write? Because I know that you're very poetic with the way that you write, and you have a bunch of songs that are straight rapping. You know, not a lot of choruses and stuff like that. So what is that like when you sit down to write? You by yourself? Are you with other friends?
No, I'm usually always by myself. If it's not like some random car ride or just anything of that nature, like I can't even like listen to production whenever I'm writing. Like I'll hear the beat then like exists in my mind based off of like everything that I remember encompassed in it, and then like I'll just go somewhere quiet and write.
So you said that you can't listen to the production, or you not can't, but you don't like to listen to the production when you're writing?
No, I wouldn't even tell you that you said it wrong just now. I almost can't.
Yeah,
like, it's
interesting.
Like, I don't think it like actually is, but I almost want to call it like some OCD shit. Like if I'm listening to a beat and then I'm thinking about what I'm trying to write, it's like I just can't think about everything at once. Like it makes my brain hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too many thoughts going on, trying to...
Yeah, like if I'm being for real. Like.
Well, and I bet you that comes from having a lot to say. Obviously on your songs, you are expressing a lot, so I could see trying to tap into those feelings and, you know, the beat kind of getting in the way of that. With the newer project, was there a reason behind wanting to put out that first project? Because I know obviously you have some singles out and everything like that. Was there a moment in time where you're like, you know what, let me put together a project, let me have this happen, or what?
So in fairness, I've been working on an album since like around the inception of me like rapping. Like I wish I could like open up my initial phone that I had in that period so that way I could like find out like all of the raps that I had like from that period of time.
Yeah, like in your notes?
Yeah, but like I don't know what happened to it. But like the basis of my point is that I've had like multiple albums that just like never came to fruition. But the difference for this was that like it just had the right people at the right time to where it was able to just manifest. But yeah. That's
a huge part of it, definitely having that team around you. And that was another question was, do you have friends that make beats, or do you find them online and, you know, or network with producers online, or do you have a team in that aspect?
Nah, I got to a point to where like I wanted to always be able to be hands-on with the people that were making my production. So I stopped looking online for people unless like I was able to actually like message them to like ask them what they could make for me. So yeah, like as far as like that whole project, it was made by two people, but they were like structuring everything to either my likeness or like just like the idea that we had essentially.
Yeah, and you can definitely feel that, I think, on your album. It's very cohesive as far as the mood and the vibe that you're giving off, which isn't always the case. So I think that's definitely a strength. And with the way you rap and everything, something I'm interested in is, since you have a team and you're doing the production there, do you ever rap or write parts of your rap and then have them make a beat underneath you?
Yeah, actually. On song 4, we did that. I already had the rap. I kept rapping it to them. Like, we like had a whole beach house and where we were recording the album, and they ended up making that beat like on the spot for me.
Yeah, and you were rapping that song out to them. Man, that's a wild way to make music.
Also, the second half of the 7th song, Everything. Yeah,
Everything's fire. I think that's my favorite song, because you're just rapping that whole time on that one. Was there a I mean, I guess you're very poetic, so maybe that could speak to it, but was there a specific artist or influence that kind of made you feel comfortable with just rapping for 4 minutes on a song or something like that? Because that's something I like to do, but something I found out is not everyone is like, everyone's like, well, I can't understand all this rap for 4 minutes, but it's like, this is what I love to do, bro.
I feel so weird about the concept of that, and I also feel weird about that song, but inside of that concept.
Yeah.
But I would say people like Kendrick, like that's it. Like,
yeah, right.
Like just Kendrick, or I don't think Andre actually does that, but like it contributes to the basis, like like the poeticness and just like how expressive I try to be, like those two artists.
Absolutely. Yeah, Kendrick's, he'll definitely do that too.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's something that I definitely relate with, because I have a buddy who makes EDM music, so that's been something that I've been tapping into. So with your project out, have you gotten a bunch of reception from it, from friends, family, people online? How has that kind of been for you to hear other people's thoughts on the music you're making?
Sorry.
No, you're good.
In my mind, I was like processing it heavily. The short answer I would say is that it's been good. I feel like if I was to make the conversation like super analytical or like psychological, where it's like I made the album where it's like, oh, like I want people to validate me, but I'm also validating myself in the idea of making this. So when people are giving me all of these different receptions around it, it's just been good. I think the weirdest thing about it now is that I think objectively speaking, I'd be like, it's a really good album. I love it, but like, I also hate it.
All right, so we got a love-hate relationship with the new album. Talk to me about that a little bit. You said that, at one point you love getting all the reception, but the other point you hate it. Can you elaborate a little bit more for me?
I would say, this is gonna seem like a long answer, but like, inside of rap music, especially as a rapper, you're supposed to feel like you're the best, because it's just like, rap is to somewhat base, like it's competition, it's egotistical, it's braggadocious. Like, I feel like all of those things, but on an objective level, a lot of the songs that I ended up making, I think that the playback value is lacking. I think that I worry too much about expressing that I'm better than other people, to where like, I did not just worry about making phenomenal songs, and that bothers me. Like, that's it. And also the songs don't perform well in translation, at least to me. But
yeah.
That's also just me being heavily critical.
Of course, and you're always going to be the most critical of your own music. Like I said, I've been listening to it a lot, and I think you're probably being a little bit too hard on yourself, but you're gonna do that, with your own art. Mm-hmm. But I think also like an important thing with the fact that you actually put it out there and you're able to take that reception. I think it's awesome that you've been able to release your music and then listen to it with a different ear. And,
Absolutely.
That makes me excited for your next music, because you're not listening to this and being like, I'm good, I'm set. Like I made the best album ever, I'm done as an artist. It's like, that shows the passion that's within you to constantly get better, even though you just dropped an album this last summer. So, use that. It's definitely going to be some good motivation for your next project. But
Definitely.
Yeah, you're probably being a little bit too hard on yourself, though, bro. A lot of that shit slaps. So, with the album out now, and you talking about kind of how you think about it, and you have certain feelings about it, being good, about certain feelings about it could be better. Do you have music that you are working on now that you're excited to kind of put together and release? Have you been taking a break since you released the project, and it probably took a lot of energy? Where are you at with the music?
It's both. I've been writing a lot, like to a certain extent, but like I haven't recorded any music just for the general sense most of this year. Like I think I recorded once, but otherwise no. Like, but also it just goes back to me saying about being able to just kind of like lock in and work with the same people. Like one of the people who ended up, well, two of the people that ended up working on the project, one of them have like been engulfed in NFTs and just the whole culture, and like they
lost
like,
them.
I mean, they're pretty big inside of it, so I can't even be upset with them.
Well, then.
The other person just started their own band, and they're just like out here active and like performing a lot. It's a fucking 8-man band, so like
Jeez.
I can't be upset with them. Yeah, like they're just like doing their thing. It's like, it's one of those things where in my brain it's like it's divine timing. Like at least that's what one of them will always tell me. But this is the first time I've said this out loud, but I've like been treating this, like that album and then in contribution to everything that I'm working on, like a trilogy in my brain at the moment.
Okay.
Where it's like the first album was like, this was like an expression of like self-exploration in my feelings, in my existence as a person.
Yeah.
And then my next project, like, which is a working piece in my mind, is like the idea of like almost like masculinity, but like the toxic version of it, of like how I think a man is supposed to be, and like working through that, like through Black culture.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I'm like attached to that completely yet. And then the last album is like, it's called Crybaby, and it's about the toxic masculinity and all of the tropes behind it, and how just what's the words I'm looking for?
I mean, you're trying to examine that, just like that situation that you see. I mean, you listen to the most recent Kendrick album?
Of course.
Yeah, I feel like he dove like super heavy into a lot of that stuff too. So, and I think that with you being such a honest and vulnerable artist, I think that's going to take you really good places. Like trying to, I don't know, examine the specific things about yourself that also you see out in the world. Like, I feel like that stuff is awesome. With your two friends that you were making music with, kind of, operating in their own lanes as well, is that something that you kind of plan to tackle? Like, have you dabbled in making your own beats, or do you play any instruments as well? Anything like that?
This is gonna sound lazy, and I believe it in my brain, but I want to just be like the best rapper, like that's it. Like, and when I say that, it's like we can invest ourselves in so many different things, and we definitely can become great at it, good at it, whatever the case is, but like I'd rather devote all energy and obsessiveness inside of like just understanding my like vocal range, like what I can do vocally, what I can do lyrically, and just like trying to always implement all of these tools that I have to like be impressive as a lyricist and an artist, like on track.
Yeah, I think that can be a strength of yours, because a lot of people, I feel like, can get wrapped up in the whole being independent, do it all yourself, type of attitude, and sometimes
this is all fun to me. It's all contribution. Like we're making something together.
Yeah, and I think with artistry, a lot of the times it comes out better when you have a team, or when you're not just by yourself. Trying to just examine yourself, because like when you have other people into the song, they are able to put a little bit of themselves in there as well. Especially like when you're talking about with your friends, where you're just rapping to them, literally your feelings, right, without any beat, a cappella, and then they're able to, well, how does that make me feel? And then boom, put it into like a song, and that's something that is awesome to keep exploring. So I think that's awesome that you just want to keep it 100 with the writing. You're like, I don't need to play around with the drum machine. I got a pen and a pad, and that's how it's going to stay. Have you thought about doing spoken word or anything like that? I mean, I feel like your talent probably lends perfectly to that kind of medium as well, since you're so poetic with it.
I feel like in a weird way, I've done it for so long beforehand that I just like, I don't do it as much anymore. Like, I like it as a medium in itself, like medium in itself. I just, I don't find the need for it anymore. Like, I think that whenever I used to write poetry, or whenever it came down to spoken word or anything of the nature, it was all in like the self-exploration of my feelings and everything. Like, I'm way more coherent, I'm way more understanding now, to where it's just like, that was a tool to like be expressive.
Yeah.
I do that on a daily basis now.
I hear that.
Yeah.
So I guess last question I got for you is, since you have been writing your whole life, what do you hope in the future that you can do with your music that maybe you couldn't do with just poetry? Like whether the impact it has on people, or what impact on your life, or what's the?
I think that like if I source back to like when it came down to when I first started making music, where it was me listening to all these different artists, as far as like just being informative and like kind of like contributing to Black culture, like that's what I wanted to do at first, and I wanted to like be super like woke, for lack of better words, and now it's just like I want people to feel more comfortable in their skin, because I didn't when I grew up like that, and I just want people to be able to just like come to my music as a safe space and like understanding and self-exploration, because like I keep saying, that's all I'm trying to do. Like, I don't have it figured out today. I probably won't have it tomorrow, but like I want there to be understanding and like a connection inside of that idea, and like let's make that venture together. That's it.
Oh yeah. Awesome. Well, it has been wonderful talking to you. I wish you the best of luck going forward on everything. You are a very intellectual and talented person, so I hope you keep up the hard work. Absolutely. And it has been great chatting up with you, man.
Thank you so much.
Of course.